I did a few things here. Tell me where you want me to start. I looked at some of the intended air yards for the other quarterbacks, really that have either been with McCarthy, so Aaron Rodgers.
And intended air yards is what, and where's Dak in them right now?
He is among quarterbacks who've started every game. He's dead last. 5.5, I think it is. And so it's basically how far in the air the ball is traveling each time you throw it.
So, like, if you dump off a pass for 3 yards and the running back takes it 75, we shouldn't be counting that as a 75-yard pass. It's how far did the ball go in the air? What was the intent in terms of the depth?
And this is, I always used to joke, Joe Montana was this way. Throw 5 yards to Jerry Rice, and, Jerry Rice takes it another 75. And
sounded like a pretty serious joke.
Yeah, it was serious.
You told Montana,
you told Montana.
I told Montana what you thought, yes.
Man, also the knife was like right here in the side of the kidney. So I looked at that. I also looked at the average depth of target for the receivers, and that's kind of the reverse. It's how far down the field are they getting targeted. So if it's the average of the target is 9 yards, it means on average, through however many targets they have, they were about 9 yards beyond the line of scrimmage when the pass was thrown. And then finally, their first down numbers, which their success gained on first down. That's another one. So we can start with the intended air yards of others in the West Coast offense. Now, here's the problem. Bobby, how many teams currently run the West Coast offense?
The pure West Coast system, it's basically, that I know of, it's the Jets and the Cowboys.
Great. I love to be in a conversation offensively when we're talking about the Jets. Okay. It's fantastic. And so, really with that, now Andy Reid runs, he has a West Coast mind. He runs
has concepts in it.
Some correlation of the West Coast. But Rodgers in 2018, his last year with the Packers with McCarthy, his intended air yards per pass play was 8.8.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good. Only 7 guys in the league that year were higher. 8.8 in Rodgers last year. Now, the next year they bring in Matt LaFleur, and he throws for 8.9. So the McCarthy offense, which Rodgers admittedly hated, and he thought he was hamstrung, his intended air yards were nearly identical. His MVP year in 2020 was at 8.1, so it dropped a lot without McCarthy. 2 years later, even though he hated Mike McCarthy and how he was hamstrung, he still was going.
He hated it at the end.
At the end.
And by the way, Aaron Rodgers hates everyone and everything.
Yes. Zach Wilson,
especially his family.
Zach Wilson was at 7.6. 7.6. That's 2 yards farther than Dak and McCarthy have it. The Jets are the only other team that runs that true West Coast scheme. Last year, Dak was at 8.3.
And the Jets run that with who?
Zach Wilson.
Who's the coordinator?
Hackett, right? Nathaniel Hackett.
And who is Aaron Rodgers' favorite coach in the National Football League?
Nathaniel Hackett.
So the system that he hated so much in Green Bay is now the same exact. Let me finish.
Similar, obviously different coaches and everything.
Yeah. Let's be clear. He didn't hate the system. He hates the coach.
Okay.
There is a distinction.
Fine. You made my point for me. Thank you.
I'm saying there's.
So he's not hating the system because Nathaniel Hackett had it in Green Bay, and the same thing was happening in New York for this season.
Yeah. So Zach Wilson's 7.6 is pretty high. It's not pretty high. It's a good number. I think that's
what I'm saying is if Aaron Rodgers felt so hamstrung and hated it so much in Green Bay, the same thing wouldn't be happening in New York. As Bobby is saying,
right?
More McCarthy, the person, probably at the end versus the system.
Correct. Because his last year, 2018, he was at 8 point. What did I say? It was 8.8. 8.8 is really, really good. And if we are truly running the same system that we ran in Rodgers' final year in Green Bay, that would tell you that number is if it's the same system, is more quarterback related than not. But you would have to go watch every stitch of game film to find out of both 2018 Green Bay and 2023 Cowboys to see if the routes are being run more deep, whatever. So now in terms of the wide receivers, comparatively speaking, on this one. I went and looked at the Cowboys' top 3 versus the other guys in the league. So CeeDee Lamb is averaging about 10.3 yards average depth per target. So each target is about 10.3 yards downfield. Cook's at 9.9, Gallup's at 11.3. That's pretty low for Gallup, right?
Yeah.
For a guy of his skill set. Probably, I would imagine it's probably pretty low for Cooks too. So I went and looked around. Keenan Allen's really low. He's at 6.3. Mike Williams at almost 14. Justin Jefferson's at 13. 3 yards clear of CD. Olave's at 10. Robert Woods is 12. Christian Kirk's 14. Ridley's 15. Tyreek is 12, 11.5. Diggs 11.5. Amari is at 18. Judy at 17. Terry McLaurin all the way at 7. So for the most part, that's lower than the others. Not a lot lower than some, but lower. And you can see they're definitely throwing shorter. But again, is that the scheme, or is that Dak A looking for a safe option, shorter route, or is that the only option they're giving him? If you look at this, you see, Trevor Lawrence, he's going downfield to Kirk, downfield to Ridley. Tua's not going that deep to Tyreek, but that's kind of Tyreek, slot guy ties his game. Judy getting 17, it's insane, right?
Those are Hail Marys that they're trying to throw up when they're getting their ass kicked.
Amari getting 18. Deshaun Watson, did you say that yesterday? Deshaun Watson's intended air yards are just stupid high.
It was this past week, I believe. Let me see where he's at for the season.
And then Jefferson getting 13. Kirk he's pretty aggressive. Aggressive.
These are the leaders in intended air yards in the NFL right now. Jordan Love, Derek Carr, Deshaun Watson, Jalen Hurts, Tua, Jimmy, Tannehill, Wilson, Stafford.
And that's all over the map. Some of those guys are pretty good. Some of those guys are meh, right? So it's all over the map on that. You can't just look at one number and get a great feel of anything. You've got to look at others in order to get the context.
So what is all this telling you?
Well, it tells me that the number that really is troubling for me to figure out is if this is a very similar system to Rodgers in 2018, why the discrepancy in the intended air yards between 5.5 and 8.8? Is it the way defenses are playing the system? Is it Dak personally wanting to play it a little bit more safe and just not press it? Or has Mike actually shrunk and reduced the time of the first cut? Right?
It's more the drop. So the quarterback drop, the step drop. If Rodgers is taking more 5 and 7, and they have Dak taking more 3
and 5,
then it's going to be boom, boom, boom. It's going to be out quicker.
And I also I wonder. I have to go back and look at Rodgers. I feel when I close my eyes think of Rodgers, I feel like his dropbacks are just slower in general.
So Rodgers' intended air yards being 8.8 that year in 2018, his time to throw was 2.95. And Dak's time to throw right now is 2.51. So Dak's getting the ball out of half a second faster. And so that's 3-step drop, boom, 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 hit. Rodgers is generally boom, 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 stop, hit.
So it could be the drop that they want to do. It could be a lot of things. It's not going to tell you anything. You have to go back and you have to see.
Sunday could have been, replacing 3 offensive linemen.
It could have been. And when you're going to replace 3 offensive linemen, you are going to want to get the ball out quicker. There's nothing wrong with short passes. Tom Brady made a living out of it.
Tom Brady.
Peyton Manning, when he started, figuring it out, he made a living out of it instead of just throwing it downfield all the time. Patrick Mahomes throws a ton of short passes. He also throws a ton of downfield ones. Dak trailing in this game. Threw 9 balls behind the line of scrimmage in a game he never led. Now again, is that offense? They wanted to throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage? A lot of how many of those are dump offs where there's nothing there and the defense is making you do that? And how many of that is just him just playing it safe? There's no answer today in 3 weeks.
If you want an example of the speed, just really quickly, a side note, the speed that Miami plays with. Tua leads the NFL right now. He's getting the ball out in 2.34 seconds, and yet he's 4th in air yards at 9.2. They're moving the ball 9 yards down the field on every average throw, and yet they're still getting the ball out faster than everybody.
Yeah, but Cooks is super fast. Now,
when you look at it, they're having him run a lot of speed outs. They're having him run a lot of slants. Even the stuff that's been intended to him, it's been, comebacks. It's been, the stuff over the middle of the field. That's generally been what they've thrown to him so far.
So what's your conclusion?
I mean, I think they're trying to throw it shorter, and I think Dak is throwing it shorter than they're actually trying to as well. Like he's trying to get Mike's trying to get him to A, get the ball out quick, and B, throw absolutely no interceptions.
Yeah.
Like that's his. It seems to me that both Mike and Dak, in some form, heard a lot of the talk in the offseason about his interception numbers, and I think they both think and both know that his interception numbers were A, inflated, and B, a narrative that never should have been out there. But it's hard not to be gun shy of the narrative, and it's pretty telling that
if they both know that, then Mike should not have adjusted this much for it. If he knows that it was fluky,
you would think, but people are scared of noise. Mike doesn't. We already know Mike doesn't like all the attention on this team.
Yeah.
He wants to be back. He likes Green Bay.
I personally think that the first two games, they went very conservative once they got the lead to salt the game away. This is going to be an extension of the run game. Here are these little dump offs. We're just fine kicking field goals. We're totally fine just settling. They were up 26-0 early against the Giants, then they were up 33-0. Whatever you give me, it's like the reverse of the garbage stats when quarterbacks put up those numbers. We've had that conversation before. It's the reverse of it. Once you're up 26, 33-0, I don't care. I take all those numbers out. What you do offensively, schematically, strategy-wise, it doesn't matter to me. You're just trying to burn the clock. Then they were up 24-10 after 3 against the Jets. And to me, it was they're helpless offensively. All we have to do is run the clock. So I don't care what they did in the fourth quarter. That's just me personally.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm having a hard time coming up with a total answer for this when you beat the hell out of the two New York teams.
Yeah,
I think Sunday was, and Mike admitted yesterday, I was a little bit too run heavy on first and second down. I think Sunday started off as a fear that this offensive line with all the replacements would get Dak killed. And he stayed a little bit too conservative with it. That's my opinion. And overall, the strategy is going to be the defense, the offense. We're not going to lose games with the offense. We're not going to turn it over, and we're going to give our defense every opportunity to go ahead and win. Those are my thoughts.
The other side of this is all these numbers: intended air yards, average depth of target. We're only 3 games in.
Yeah.
Really to get a great idea, you need 4 or 5 weeks.
Look, the big future question is going to be what Bobby brought up last week. Are they capable of staying in a shootout? Is this offense going to be capable, X's and O's wise, of winning a shootout? Is it built in for it? Is it capable?
This offense?
This offense?
No. Last year's offense was. This offense is not designed to be in a shootout. The way it's designed is...
So you're telling me that Aaron Rodgers' Packers and the 49ers back in the day could not... They were incapable or didn't have the same capability as last year's Dallas Cowboys offense to be in or win shootouts?
Yeah, yes, but there's a difference. I mean, like let's be fair. I think whatever you think of
design-wise.
Design, again, like if I could have the same offense, and one of it is quarterbacked by Tom Brady,
right,
and the other one is quarterbacked by, just give me a really good quarterback, but not a great, an all-time great, Derek Carr, and they are going to look entirely different.
But what I'm trying to get to in all this is it built in as a possibility to go deep? In that playbook, if I look at that playbook, and I asked Broadus this yesterday, if I look at this playbook, compared to the other 30 in the league, 29, whatever, am I going to count less deep routes and concepts versus everybody else? That's what I want to know.
You are as the earliest part of the progression, yes. Okay. Like it's going to be the back end of the progression almost every time. And so it's because the first part of the progression, you will see almost every route almost every route combination they have, there is somebody running something that's deeper down the field. But the problem is that usually it's the progression goes here, 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 and you get to like progression 4 or 5, and that's when you're looking down the field. And so that's the problem, is that the progression is not going to lend itself to
going
a lot
first.
of shots down the field. That's not what they're going to look for.
We need to get Steve Young on is who we need to get. Pepe, Did you text Kurt Warner?
I did.
Okay. And?
I've not heard back yet.
Okay.
He said, let me know if you know what a sluggo is, and then I'll come on.
That's right. All right. So, good study.
All right, thank you.
So,
Big fat football sandwich.
what did Broadus say to you when you asked him, by the way?
I don't know. He was like surly. I think he was eating something. I think he was mad I didn't call him back Friday, like Friday, Saturday. And he was like, do you already know what Broadus said to me?
No, I have no idea. I'm genuinely asking.
He's like, he said that Arizona was definitely playing deeper, but Bobby's not wrong. And I said, well, how can the two be?
I said they were playing deeper.
No, but you just, I know before you have this cocaine-like rush to admit you're right about something, as this show loves to do.
I'm without my Adderall,
Just
man.
let me go ahead and finish it. He said that Arizona definitely was playing deeper, but he still sounded like he thought the Cowboys should have taken deeper shots and that they should have gone down the field, kind of lending it to, yes, Bobby is correct, that they should have taken more shots in this game. So
yeah, and
that was Broadus.
Yeah, it's. I'm sure it's there. Look, you cannot tell me you cannot have an offense and say that the offense is all underneath. You know, Aaron Rodgers did not just throw 5-yard passes. Like, he was throwing the ball downfield. Again, now are they allowing him or wanting him, or does he want? Did Aaron prefer a longer drop? Did Aaron prefer to hold the ball? Did Aaron prefer? Aaron's got the ability of a unique unicorn arm where he could just throw the ball off his back foot,
right,
as opposed to want to step into it. You know, there are a lot of questions that go into that, and why they're not as being, why Dak's not throwing the ball as downfield as far. Why is Tua with basically the same, time to throwing the ball deeper downfield than Dak Prescott is? Is it the receivers are faster? Is Tua just kind of lobbing the ball in there, perfectly placing it?
Yeah.
No stat can tell you everything.
College football kegger is coming up at 8 o'clock. This is the Expressway here on Shan, RJ, and Roberto. Do we have any Tolo texts that we need to get to at 877-881-1053 with the depth and the deep passing game of the offense? Hey, Pay, you got any?
Nothing right now.
Here we go.
For 20 minutes, no one has written anything.
Yes, plenty
So I was getting the ask right
here we go. Rodgers was also checking out of a lot of plays and scrambling a lot. Brian and Bobby just hate McCarthy. How far did Rodgers throw the ball with 3 linemen out? Is Tua and Hurts? Dak's not accurate, though. Until the line is fixed, none of this matters. We are running the ball. Remember that. Common denominator with Jason Garrett and Mike McCarthy is having Dak at quarterback. Both seem to be failing. Almost a decade when we all stopped defending Dak and faced the facts. They had great quarterbacks in those other, Montana and Rodgers. And that's the other thing. Like, your offense, I don't care if you have Aaron Rodgers or Joe Montana in the same offense, even a guy as good as Dak's easily a top 10 quarterback, it's just going to look different
Sure.
than Rodgers and Montana in their prime. Even Dak knows that.